Hare Krishna. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. Never miss any updates.
Hare Krishna. Let's start off with the prayers which is there in the introduction. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। श्री राधा गोविंद की जय। श्री निताय गौरंग की जय। जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की। So today we are going to discuss one more amazing chapter, which is the chapter number 4th. The name of the chapter is Transcendental Knowledge. Now sometimes we feel when we read Bhagavad Gita, we feel there is no connection which is coming in Bhagavad Gita. Something and all is coming. Sometimes Krishna is explaining observing the army, then he is talking about soul, then he is talking about karma, then he is talking of transcendental knowledge, again he will talk of karma. So sometimes we feel there is no connection. So that is wrong. The whole Bhagavad Gita is connected with one thread, and all the shlokas, they are actually interconnected with each other. Now what is the connection between 3rd chapter and 4th chapter? In the 3rd chapter, Krishna explains about lust. He says, Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava. And Mahashano Mahapapma vidhyena miya verinam. So Krishna is explaining this lust is very, very dangerous enemy. One of the biggest enemy for a living entity. And what are the seating places for this lust? So Krishna says 3. There are 3 sitting places for this lust. First one is senses, second is mind, and third one is intelligence. And Krishna also says, Indriyani paranyahur, Indriyabhyo paramanaha. So there is a hierarchy in our mind-body system. And in that hierarchy, intelligence is in the topmost position. Obviously, above intelligence there is a false ego and then there is a soul. But if you talk of intelligence, Krishna says, with intelligence you can control your mind, and if you control your mind, you can control your senses, and these are the 3 places where lust is actually sitting. Senses, mind and intelligence. So from there is a connecting point of 3rd chapter to 4th chapter, that if you have a transcendental knowledge, you can actually cut the knot of lusty desires in your heart. So that's why the topic comes of transcendental knowledge. So chapter 4 has 5 divisions. The first one is shloka number 1 to 10. So in the shloka number 1 to 10, Krishna is explaining about himself, and also he is re-establishing the parampara system. Second section is about applying the transcendental knowledge. What exactly happens when you apply the transcendental knowledge in your own life? Shloka number 11th to 15th. Then comes the third section, which is from shloka number 16th to 24th. Here Krishna explains 3 varieties of karma. And the fourth section is shloka number 25 to 33, where Krishna explains about varieties of sacrifices which actually leads to transcendental knowledge. And finally he gives conclusion from 34th to 42, which is a conclusion. So in the first shloka itself, Krishna says, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manur ishvakave abravit. So Krishna is saying, first I spoke this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, the science of soul, the science of yoga, Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. To whom? Krishna gave this knowledge to Vivasvan. Who is this Vivasvan? And why Krishna has to tell only to Vivasvan? Why he has chosen Vivasvan to receive this knowledge first? So in the purport, Prabhupada, he mentions one shloka from Brahma Samhita. Prabhupada says, Yat Shakshuresa Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rashesha Tejaha Yasyagnaya Brahmati Sambhrata Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Brajami. Why Krishna has chosen sun god to receive this? Because sun is considered to be the Raja, the king of all planets. Why? Because sun is actually controlling all the planets by supplying heat and light. So you see, Krishna has chosen a person who is actually the Raja, who is a king. So in the purport, Prabhupada also mentions that this transcendental knowledge, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, is actually meant for Rajarshis. It is actually meant for Rajarshis. The people, those who are leaders of the society, must know this knowledge and then preach to others. And that's what Krishna has done from the beginning of the creation. He gave the knowledge to Sun God. Sun God gave this knowledge to Manu, and Manu has given this knowledge to Ishvaku. So like this, in the parampara system, this knowledge was actually coming down. Then suddenly what happened? So Krishna explains in the next shloka. This is the second one. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. So when the knowledge was coming down in a parampara, in a disciplic succession, in the chain of disciplic succession, generation after generation, Guru will give the knowledge to his disciple, then he will give knowledge to his disciple. Like this it is coming in the parampara. But when Sakale Neha Mahata, after a due course of time, when the knowledge, when the chain was broken, again Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So you may ask a question, now where is Arjuna's name in the parampara system? Because if you see our parampara, Prabhupada is 32nd Acharya. Above Prabhupada, Prabhupada's Guru is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. His Guru is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. His Guru is Bhakti Vinod Thakur. His Guru is Jagannath Das Babaji. And like this it is actually coming to, actually it is going up and then directly connecting to Krishna. Now where is Arjuna in between? Isn't it? So there are two varieties of parampara system. The first one is called as Brahma Rishi Parampara, where we all belong to, because they are all devotees of the Lord and they receive the knowledge in parampara. Brahma Rishi Parampara, just like Brahma Madhva Gauri Vaishnava Sampradaya, it is a Brahma Rishi Parampara. The devotees of the Lord, they will receive the knowledge. And then there is one more parampara which is called as Rajarshi Parampara, where the saintly kings will receive the knowledge and then they will actually pass down to their sons. So in that sense, there are two varieties of parampara. Brahma Rishi Parampara will never lost, but sometimes because of non-devotee kings, there will be a loss of parampara. So that's why Krishna again and again comes and then he gives the transcendental knowledge to one of the king. So here Krishna has chosen Arjuna to receive the knowledge. He is so fortunate he is. Arjuna directly receiving the knowledge from Krishna. And why Krishna has chosen Arjuna itself? So Krishna says, Bhaktosi me sakha cheti, because you are my great devotee, and then sakha cheti, you are my very dear friend. So this is the qualification to receive the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. We should be a devotee of the Lord, and we should also become a friend of the Lord. Just like we have friends of Lord Krishna, folk. So it means we are all friends of Krishna. And obviously if you are chanting, you are a devotee. So the devotee and the friend, the combination is such a wonderful combination that he can receive the transcendental knowledge directly from Krishna. Now, so when Krishna explained that he spoke the knowledge first to Sun God, who is very, very senior in age, because Arjuna could see that Krishna is just of my age. So here Arjuna got confused. That Krishna is saying he spoke the knowledge to Sun God, and Sun God is very, very senior to our Krishna and Arjuna, because Arjuna and Krishna both are contemporaries. They are both are friends, equal age. So Arjuna is asking a question, that how should I understand that you spoke this message to Sun God, isn't it? So then Krishna replies. He replies that you and me have passed many, many births and many, many lives. But I remember everything, you don't remember them. And what is the reason? The reason is Ajo api san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaro san. Krishna's appearance, Krishna's birth is not a birth of a conditioned soul. Krishna doesn't take birth. That's why we don't say Krishna has taken birth. We say Krishna's appearance, or we say Avatara. It's not that Krishna has taken birth like all of us. A conditioned soul, he takes a birth by the force of Kala and Karma. But Krishna, he chooses by himself. He will choose, okay, Yashoda and Nand Maharaj should be my mother and father. It is his own wish. He is not under Kala and Karma. And he appears by his own potency. Ajo api san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaro api san. And then he says, Atma Mayaya, I appear by my own potency. Material world is not forcing Krishna to appear. Material world is not forcing Krishna to take birth. Just like if you see Krishna's birth, how Krishna appeared. Krishna did not appear from a Devaki's womb directly like this. How we all of us take birth. Krishna, he came in four-handed form with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, and he was not even crying, he was laughing. All of us when we take birth will be crying, but Krishna when he came out, he was with a smiling face holding Shankha Chakra Gada Padma four-handed form, and he appeared in front of Devaki and Vasudeva, the prison house. So see, that is a reason Krishna remembers everything. His body is not body made of earth, water, fire, air and ether. His body is transcendental, which is made of Satchidananda. But because we are continuously changing our bodies, we are forgetting everything. So now Krishna explains about his appearance, why he appears and when he appears. So Krishna says, very, very famous shloka, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. So whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So Krishna is saying that whenever there is a decline in religious practice, I appear myself. He is not saying I take birth. He is saying I appear myself. And what is his mission? If somebody is coming, there should be some mission, isn't it? So his mission he explains in the next sloka. He says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So there are three missions of Krishna's appearance. The first one is to deliver the pious, to deliver his devotees. The second one is to annihilate the demons, to kill the demons. Vinashaya cha dushkritam. And the third one is Dharma sansthapanarthaya. He will actually re-establish the lost religious principles. So this is the reason Krishna appears in this world. And then he says, if you know this, that I appear millennium after millennium for this purpose, then what happens? So Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanmaneti mameti Arjuna. So Krishna is saying, if you know my activities and my birth, if you know that it is transcendental and I am appearing for this particular purpose, then what happens? Punarjanmaneti. A person will never take birth again in this material. What happens? Where he goes? Mameti. He will actually come back to me. So this is the assurance of Krishna that if you understand this transcendental knowledge about myself, then what happens? You will not take rebirth in this world. You will come back to me in my abode, which is called as Goloka Vrindavana. You will actually come back to me. So this is a qualification to go back to home, back to Godhead. We have to understand that Krishna's birth and Krishna's activities are not mundane. It is transcendental. And one who understands it is transcendental, he is qualified to go back to home, back to Godhead, to Goloka Vrindavan. And what are the disqualifications? There are certain disqualifications. So Krishna explains in the next shloka that there are some disqualification to going back to home, back to Godhead. What are they? Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. The three disqualification. The first one is Raga, attachment. Raga, Bhaya, fear of material life. And then third one is Krodha. Krodha means anger. Now it is completely ulta. In this material world, there is a lot of attachment which we have from the people. Not only people, even we may get attached to some articles. It may be mobile, it may be laptop, it may be a small pen. People, they get attached. And then fear, because attachment is there, there will be fear. Oh, I should not lose it. Anytime I may lose it. There is a continuously fear. And the third one is Krodha. When it is actually lost, if we lose anything, what happens? People, they get angry. But Krishna is saying ulta. There should be no attachment, there should be no fear, and there should be no Krodha. So that is actually the qualification to achieve Krishna's favor. Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. We have to actually become free from Raga, Bhaya and Krodha. Attachment, fear and anger. So now comes the second section of Bhagavad Gita. Here Krishna explains how exactly to act. So Krishna is saying that Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tasevya bhajamyaham. So Krishna's reciprocation, Krishna's reward is exactly proportionate to our surrender to Krishna. So if we surrender to Krishna, Krishna also in the same way reciprocate with his devotees. So a personalist devotee may actually directly get the association of Krishna. An impersonal person, an impersonal devotee, he may get absorbed in the effulgence, and the yogi may actually receive mystic power. So these are varieties of rewards which Krishna gives to his devotees. And then Krishna also explained there are some people, they may actually go for demigod worship. Devata, Jajanti Iva Devata. They may go for demigod worship. There are 33 crore demigods. So what happens when a person worships demigods? He may receive some results. Quickly he may receive some results. But those results are actually temporary. That comes in the 7th chapter. We will be understanding how exactly happens it. And then Krishna explains that there are 4 classes of society which he has created. What are they? Chaturvanyam maya shrishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha. Krishna has created 4 varieties in the society. The first one is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. These are the 4 qualifications of the society, and it always exists. It has nothing to do with caste system. Many people, they misunderstand the details about this shloka. They think it is a caste system which Krishna is explaining. No, it is not a caste. It is about guna karma vibhagashaha. The classification has been done by guna and karma. It is exactly like, so if you want to become an engineer, you have to go to a college, study for 4 years, then you will get a degree. Then you are called as engineer. Now, engineer's son, will he be told as engineer? No. If he has qualification as an engineer, if he has a degree as an engineer, then he is called as engineer. It's not that doctor's son will become doctor, engineer's son will become engineer, judge's son will become judge, lawyer's son will become lawyer. Have you seen like this? No. So the present caste system is like that. Brahmana's son will become Brahmana, Kshatriya's son will become Kshatriya, Vaishya's son become Vaishya, Shudra's son become Shudra. No, it is not like this. It is as per the qualification of a person. So even if a person born in any of the caste materially, but he can be taken as an engineer, he can be taken as a doctor. In the same way, the caste system which is presently available in this world is not the caste system which Krishna is giving, it's not the qualification, it's not the classification which Krishna is giving in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is only talking about Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. As per qualities of a person and work of a person, he will be in these four categories. Okay? And then Krishna explains that although he has created this system in this material world, he is beyond all those systems. Name karmani limpanti, name karma phales priyaha. So Krishna is not under the modes of material nature. Krishna is not under these four classifications. He is beyond. He is beyond these four varieties. Just like many people they say, Krishna appeared in Yadava family. So we all Yadavas, many Yadavas they say, we all are Yadavas, we are descendant of Krishna. No, actually it is not like this. Krishna, he may appear in any family. So Krishna is saying here, Name karmani limpanti, name karma phales priyaha. He is beyond all the karma. He is beyond the reactions of the karma. And one who knows this, even he will become free from the reactions of karma. So not only Krishna, even his devotees are free from the reaction of karma. Why? Because they take charge, because they actually surrender to Krishna. So one who surrenders to Krishna, even he becomes free from the reactions of karma. So that's what Krishna is explaining. And then comes the third section of Bhagavad Gita, which is from the shloka number 16th to 24th. Here Krishna explains about the details of the karmas. So there are three varieties of karma. Generally people they know only two varieties, Papa and Punya, pious activities and sinful activities. But Krishna gives one more angle. He says there is something which is beyond Papa and Punya. And what is it? It is called Akarma. So Krishna says there are three varieties, Karma, Vikarma and Akarma. Karma means pious activities. Vikarma means forbidden activities, also called as sinful activities. And then comes Akarma. Akarma means an activity in connection with the Supreme Lord. And then there is no reaction for it. So if you analyze these three, Karma, Vikarma and Akarma, it is performed for whom? The karma is performed for oneself, Vikarma is also done for oneself, and Akarma is actually done for Krishna. And what is the attitude while doing these activities? If a person is doing karma, his attitude is according to Shastra. He is actually doing according to Shastra. That's why it is called as pious activities. Vikarma means it is against the scriptures. And Akarma is actually as a servitor of Krishna. Now what is the result? What is the reward? When a person performs karma, he gets good results. When a person performs vikarma, sinful activities, there will be a bad result for it. But a person who is performing akarma, a devotee who is performing akarma, he gets transcendental happiness. He doesn't get any material reaction for it. He directly gets transcendental happiness. So that's what Krishna explains. There are three varieties of karma: karma, vikarma and akarma. And then Krishna explains the varieties of attributes of a person who is in transcendental knowledge. So one who understands how to act, one who knows Krishna and Krishna's activities, his birth. Now what are his attributes? So Krishna totally explains 13 attributes of a person who is in transcendental knowledge. So the first one he says, devoid of desire of sense gratification. A person who is actually a devotee of Krishna, he is actually devoid of the desire of sense gratification. Then he says, Tyaktva karma phala sangam. He actually leaves all varieties of karma phala. He has no results. Then he says, Dhritya tripta. He is always satisfied, ever satisfied. And he says, Nirashrayaha. He is independent of material nature. He is independent of modes. Nirashir, without the desire of any results. And then he has no sense of possessions. He doesn't possess anything. And then Labha Santushtaha. He is actually not looking for Labha. He is Santushtaha. He is satisfied. And then free from duality, free from envy. And then Sama Siddho Asiddho. He sees equally. Siddha, Asiddha, he sees equally. Then he says Gata Sangasya Muktasya. It means he is unattached to the modes of material nature and he is Mukta. Mukta means he is liberated. Then he also says Jnana Avasthita. It means he is situated in transcendence. And finally Krishna says that he works for the sake of Yagna. It means he works only for the satisfaction of Yagna Purusha. Krishna is called as Yagna Purusha. He is the receiver, he is the enjoyer of all the sacrifices. If you see in 3rd chapter, Krishna also talks about sacrifice. He says, Yagyarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. If you perform any activities which is not connected to the Supreme Lord, it is karma bandhanaha. It will actually bind us. Now, what kind of activities a person should do which actually liberates a person, which doesn't bind him? So, in the 4th section, Krishna explains about the sacrifice, different varieties of sacrifice which are mentioned in the Vedic literatures. Now, what exactly is the meaning of sacrifice? Sacrifice means yaga. You have to give up something, that is actually called as sacrifice. Sacrifice does not mean that you have to actually bring ghee and put fire and then chant some mantras. That is not the sacrifice. That is also one variety of sacrifice. Sacrifice means anything which you possess, and when you give up for a higher cause, that is called as sacrifice. So Krishna in this section explains many varieties of sacrifice. Just like first he says many people they worship demigods. So that is one sacrifice. And then he says in the fire of Supreme Brahman, people they may do sacrifice. And then there is a sacrifice of hearing process. Shravana, that is also one sacrifice. Then senses in the fire of controlled mind. A brahmachari may actually control his senses. That is also one sacrifice. Then for a grahastha, what is a sacrifice? He has to control his senses. And then there is one more sacrifice which Krishna is explaining about the functions of the senses in the control of mind and senses. And then Krishna explains about the yoga system, Patanjali yoga system. And then he says there is a sacrifice of material possessions. Then there is a tapoyagna, strict vows you can take, tapasya. Then there is a yoga yagna, which is Ashtanga yoga. There is a swadhyaya, studies of the Veda is also a yagna. And there is a hatha yoga. So there are varieties of yagya, the varieties of sacrifices which Krishna explains. But in Kali Yuga, what is the exact sacrifice which we all have to do? Is called as Sankirtana Yagna. Yagner Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti hi Sumedha. And for that purpose Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come. And he gave a process of sacrifice, a process of yagna to achieve the highest perfection of human life. That is to chant the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this mantra, if somebody chants, that is also a sacrifice. It's called Sankirtana Yagna. By doing this, we can actually achieve the highest perfection of human life. And finally, Krishna says that all the sacrifice which a person is trying to perform, the final goal is actually to achieve transcendental knowledge. Now, how to achieve transcendental knowledge? What is the process? Whom to approach? That Krishna explains in the 5th section. So he says, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnaninasya tattvadarshina. So if you want transcendental knowledge, you must approach a guru. You should go to a guru, and then first thing is submission, pranipatena, surrender to guru. And then what happens? Next thing is submissive inquiry. You can ask a question, you can inquire about a transcendental knowledge. And then you should also do seva, should actually render devotional service under the guidance of guru, bona fide guru. If you see in the material world, if you want any knowledge, these all three things are actually very much compulsory. We all do this. Let's say you want to complete engineering, you want a degree of engineering. What exactly you do? You first search out a bona fide college which is actually approved by AICTE. Correct? Without approval, actually you will not go. It is not a bona fide college or university. AICTE approval is very much compulsory. So then you enter in the college, you actually surrender to college. Whatever you teach, I will accept. Whatever you say, I will do. This time to come to college, I will come to this time. This time to go, I will follow this. All rules and regulations I will follow. And then you actually surrender to them. You ask a question and you also render service to them. Correct? That is actually the way to get knowledge. Same thing even in the spiritual life. We should surrender to Guru, then only we'll actually get the transcendental knowledge. By doing service, we'll get the transcendental. So there is one very nice pastime of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. One person named Madan Mohan Malviya, who was also a Vice Chancellor of Hindu University, very famous personality. He came to Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj and he asked his disciple, I have few questions and then nobody is able to answer. So I think only Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati can answer that. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he was so popular personality, he was called as a walking encyclopedia. Any question you ask, he has the answer for it. Very, very learned personality, very great, one of the greatest scholar of those days. So Madan Mohan Malviya, he came to the ashram, asked for an appointment of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. So he met Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj and he asked that he actually inquired that I have few questions which only you can clarify, nobody else can clarify. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj told, no, my disciples are there, they are equally qualified, they can actually take care of all your questions, they can answer. Then he told, no, only you can answer, nobody else can answer it. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, he understood that he want to talk to me itself. Then what he told is, okay, you do one thing, you just go and then help my disciples, they are actually washing some pots, some aarti plate and all. You can just go for some time, you can just help them and then you can come back, then we'll discuss. So because Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj is a sannyasi and a very great renowned scholar, and then Swamiji is there, so he's saying something to nobody can deny. So Madan Mohan Malviya, he went there and he started helping disciples in washing pots, aarti plates and all. And after few minutes he came back and then Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj asked him, do you have any question now? Madan Mohan Malviya says, all my questions are answered. Hare Krishna, and he went on. So this is called service. When a person does service, he actually receives transcendental knowledge. This is a mysterious way of receiving transcendental knowledge. Many people, they cannot understand this, that how just by doing some service a person may become knowledgeable. No, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. A person may receive all the transcendental knowledge from within the heart just by doing service to Guru. Okay, so it is very, very important to approach a Guru who is in a bona fide parampara. Just like our Sampradaya, our Hare Krishna Golden Temple, it belongs to Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, which is an authorized Sampradaya. Okay, so that's why the 32nd Acharya is Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we are all his disciple and then we are getting the transcendental knowledge directly from Srila Prabhupada. So one who gets this transcendental knowledge, what is the reward? What is the result? So that Krishna explains in the next shloka that na punarmoham. Once you understand this transcendental knowledge, you will again not fall back into illusion. And then what you will understand is that all the living entities are actually part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. All the living entities are actually part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And then there is a boat of transcendental knowledge which actually helps you in crossing the ocean of material existence. So that's what Krishna explains in the few shlokas from here. And then Krishna says who can acquire, who can actually get this transcendental knowledge. So he talks about some qualifications. So he says only a person who is faithful, who has Shraddha, can actually achieve the transcendental knowledge. So what exactly shloka Krishna says? He says Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Only Shraddhavan, a person who is faithful, labhate jnanam, he will actually achieve the transcendental knowledge. But there is one more category, which is Ashraddhavan, a person who is not faithful. So then Krishna says one who is ignorant and unfaithful. What happens? Samshayatma vinishyati, a doubtful person. What happens? Vinishyati, he'll actually finish. For him there is no transcendental knowledge, there is no reward, he'll actually finish. Only a person who has faith on Guru and Krishna can actually receive transcendental knowledge. So finally, in the conclusion, Krishna says decisively, stand and fight. He says, therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slayed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. Decisively, Krishna is saying, just to get this transcendental knowledge, and then you should stand and fight. So finally, if you summarize the fourth chapter, the main important point in this chapter is to accept a bona fide Guru to receive the transcendental knowledge. A Guru in a disciplic succession, in a Guru Sishya Parampara. So we belongs to Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, where Srila Prabhupada is 32nd Acharya. Okay, so you all can actually accept Prabhupada as your Guru. You are already accepting because we are all reading his commentary of Bhagavad Gita. So it means we have already accepted Prabhupada as a Guru, not officially but at least in the heart. And then we are also chanting, which is recommended by him. So we are accepting Prabhupada as a Guru, and then we should follow his guidance, and then finally we can actually receive all the transcendental knowledge which Arjuna received directly from Krishna. There is no difference. We are receiving from Prabhupada and Arjuna received directly from Krishna. There is no difference. Both are same. Okay, so we'll end it here. Hare Krishna.